Hello, Happy New Year, everybody, or a better 2021 to all of you. It's wonderful to see you again here for the Bach Cello Suites workshops and on iTouch Your Life, as always. And today I have a very special guest, Vera Beths, and I look very much forward to welcome her after 15 or 20 minutes, and I will explain to you why this is so special for me. Well, today we will start with some questions. I received two very, well, actually quite broad questions, one about the Fifth Suite in particular, one about strings in general, and subjects that I have touched a little bit, but that I want to again go at because I find the question are formulated in a very pointy way. So Yves Scheuring is sending the following question: do you always play the Fifth Suite with scordatura? Would you say it's also acceptable to play it in regular fifth tuning, or does it kill the music and Bach's intentions? Well, first of all, I will start with very obvious things. Yo-Yo Ma plays the Fifth Suite with normal tuning, and other great cellists. So there is not even it never never came to my thoughts that it could in some way kill the music. This is a music that doesn't get killed easily, and at the end of the road, I think the means that you use are your choice, and they will bring other things out, and you will lose some things. Now, for sure, I encourage you, and I encourage teachers to teach the version with scordatura to their students, because it does make a lot of sense. There is more resonance because of this open G string, and also some of the chords you cannot do when you have a normal tuning. And final point I want to make about this is that if by any chance a cellist wanted to changed his mind or her mind after many years and wanted to go to the other tuning, if you have learned the piece on normal tuning and then you have to again learn the reflexes with the scordatura, it's going to be much more difficult and much more challenging than the other way around, than going from having learned it on the scordatura and going to a normal tuning. But to be honest, I've not met in my 53 years of life somebody who ever wanted to switch from having learned the piece on scordatura to normal tuning. Never happened. Whereas I've met some colleagues who are struggling because as a young cellist, they were taught the piece on normal tuning, and then it was hell to learning with the scordatura. So I am really pleading for scordatura, but not of ideological reasons, but because I think it's what Bach knew what he was doing, really. Now, there is another question by, I apologize for the pronunciation, Xavi Love, or Javi, or Xavi. I'm not sure how to pronounce this X at the beginning. So his question: do you play on a special G string for the scordatura, or do you just lower the A string? Also, do you use gut strings? Do you recommend using gut strings with metal lining in Bach, or do you think it's more proper to play A and D on plain gut? So there are a few questions in this. I will go at them in order. The scordatura, no, you just lower your A string. It would be very complicated to find a string that is made specifically for the lower tension of the G. Plus, I think that the fact that the tension will change, that you will have less tension because what is originally an A string is tuned down to G string, that's a plus. You don't want to have the same tension than when the tuning is normal. So it's just use your normal A string. That's the first point. Next point, do you use gut string? So this is a very generic question, and a very good one, and one that is very intimidating for me to answer today because of my guest, because Vera is probably already watching and listening, and so I will say I have touched this subject a few times. I have played the suites on both for reason because I very often include a Bach suite in a recital with more contemporary pieces where I use metal strings. In the past 10-15 years, I've played them mostly on metal, but I really encourage you, and I encourage all my students always to have the experience, to get some experience from the gut strings. You will learn a lot, and yes, there is a plus on the gut strings, definitely. But I think a lot of it you can then still reproduce your language on the metal strings in a very convincing way. I think so. In case you use gut strings, definitely naked gut on A and D. Definitely naked gut on A and D. Well, of course, there are some genius examples, again, that are different. Stephen Isserlis plays 4 wounded gut strings, and he sounds amazing, as we all know. Nevertheless, I think for Bach, if you specifically for this repertoire put on some gut strings, play naked gut on A and D, I think this is what's going to work best. All right, these were the 2 questions. There is one more question which I will come to in the process of talking about the movement of the day, which is the Courante of the 5th suite. So I want to say a little something about the context. You remember from the last 2 episodes, we talked about the prelude, which is this very contrasted French overture introduction and the fugue. So something that already within the prelude there is contrast, there is the drama, but there is also the cerebral aspect of the fugue. And then this Allemande, which is very rich, very ornamented, influenced by French music. So we have had what I would call a rather dramatic opening of this suite. And this Courante now is going to be, so to say, even more, he's going further in this direction. It's very dense, very condensed. It has a lot of energy, and it is very concentrated, very short, and with a lot of rhythmical energy. I will play the first part for now. So this is the first part. See, it's the whole first part of this Courante is only, I didn't count, but I think something like 15 seconds, maybe 20. And as you see, a lot of energy. So he starts by putting some chords that give a sort of powerful energy on each downbeats, with the bass line rising. Very standard bass line, but and you see at the end, after having had these double stops, these chords only on the downbeats, at the end there is this acceleration for the cadenza. And from there, he goes in something much more melodic And when he goes to the major key, to a key which is not anymore C minor, but we go to E flat major. So these two bars are what I would call an ambiguous hemiola. And here I come to the question by Gabriel Samozi. Again, I apologize for the pronunciation because I'm not sure if it's Shamosi or Samozi. There are some hemiolas that are very clear, and somewhere I wonder if they are hemiolas or not, talking about this movement specifically. It would be very interesting to hear your opinion. So that's exactly the point, dear Gabriel. I'm sure I must have mentioned at some point in my workshops Leonard Bernstein. And because he's another great figure from whom I learned so much from watching his conferences, his presentation, everything. And one of the things I remember is his bringing out the importance of ambiguity in music. And I agree with you, Gabriel. There are some hemiolas here which are very obvious. They come a bit later. Here we have one. I think we have one, and maybe you also agree with this. But it's an ambiguous one. But we definitely have a pattern that suggests every second beat there is a repeated rhythmical pattern. So very obviously we have ti da di da da, pa ti da di da da, pa ti da 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 da, pa pa. So there is no way this is just by chance. So there is something of an hemiola there. Nevertheless, there is something that I find interesting here is that because we go up here in the weak part of my hemiola beat, I have double stops here also on this weak part of the hemiola beat. I sometimes allow myself to feel this hemiola actually sort of out of place. And then here we fall again. So we would have a sort of half hemiola. So I will again sort of very pointedly, which I wouldn't do in concert, play one version. So that would be the more straightforward hemiola, and then so I think you have these two possibilities. Well, at least that's how I see it, but maybe I will get some very how do you say, convinced responses in the next weeks. Please do, if you have a different opinion about this. What I find is, whatever is after this hemiola, this ambiguous hemiola, Bach always, of course, puts things back to place. You know, he's a good Protestant. So we have this, what I call always, in a wrong term, this walking bass, so that we know, okay, here we are back on our feet. But immediately after this one bar where he put things back into the, we have again an hemiola. So sorry, I couldn't really sing, but you know what I mean. So an hemiola always with an accelerated bass at the end. And after this last hemiola of the first part, he does the contrary of a hemiola. He does a stretta, so where suddenly we go in a 1, 2, 3. So, and I think by doing this, by doing first of all a lot of hemiolas, which are basically not our basic pulse, and also by combining in a very, very short time space the larger beat, 1 and 2 and 3 and the normal one, 1, 2, 3, and then the straighter one, 1, 2, 3, 1. And this gives rhythmical energy, but also in a way a sense of chaos, a little bit. Organized chaos, but chaos. Let's go to the second half. We go again to our normal courant beat. Again, an imiola. Walking bass. And then a very long active bass. And then again in the last bar, this stretto, this very fast 3-beat, 1, 2, 3, 1, and then a wild chord to finish. So my understanding, and I will share it with you, but of course saying there is absolutely subjectivity in there, is that Bach has taken from this French ornaments, dotted rhythm that he has had in the introduction, in the prelude, that he has had in the Allemande, that he has here in the Courante. It gets like, it's like if the energy was caught in fire, you know, if it was like something that would have entered the atmosphere, and it's so fast that it's starting to burn and it's consuming itself. It's a bit like an implosion, you know, that this movement is so short that it's like it's a concentrate of rhythmical force. And what's interesting, and we will talk, of course, obviously about the sarabande next week, but I encourage you, when you play the suite as a whole, to think about and to consciously see the interaction between this sort of crescendo of drama that we have had over 3 movements, leading into the sarabande, which is the other extreme, which is where we touch. We are at the border of matière, of material. Almost there is only essence of harmony, of rhythm, of pulse, of left. And so he really gets through this outburst of energy. It's like he's putting us on orbit, and then we are there for the sarabande. So it's, when you play them, to really enjoy and make live the interaction between these 2 extremes, because they are, I think, a central part, a central raison d'être for the dramatic of this 5th suite. So now is the time to welcome our guest. I'm putting on my headset because otherwise I don't hear anything. And I would like to welcome Vera Beths. Hello, Vera, are you there? Can you hear us?
Hi, I'm here. Well,
yes, Vera.
What you said, it was very interesting. This will look familiar to you, what I have here.
Yes, of course.
So it's honors ideas about the 5th suite. Mm-hmm. And I agree totally with you about that hemiol, which is it's very fascinating. Mm-hmm. Well, of course I'm a violinist, and I must say we don't have a courante like this. We have the trotting ones, you know, but we only have 2 in the partitas. But it has not the character, the haunting and fantastic and dark character of this one. And the hemiol, I noticed too. I think that was a very good remark of one of your recipients. But if I make may I make a choice?
Absolutely.
What you because you gave 2 suggestions, and I think as it is actually treat it as a first beat, the tam da ti da di da tam pa pi da dum. I myself would go more that, because it's the beginning is ta tim pa ti da ti da ti da ti da tam. You see, so it's just it's a fraction of that theme, and it's interrupted, of course, with the other one. So you have all those blocks. Yeah. So I would treat it then. So I would definitely choose your second opinion, to have a strong downbeat, like it's tam da ti da di dum. Oh, again da ti da da. Oh, pa ti da ti da ti da ti da dum. And then you have this madness again.
This whirlwind.
Because I looked at it so long and I listened to it. I thought, what's happening here? Because it's going so. It's a kind of the clearness, the blocks, the da 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 da, and then and it goes back to 3. So you have 2 and 3 and 2. It's fantastic. So yes. Wonderful.
Well, it makes me very happy, Vera, because actually this is the one I presented as second possibility is actually the one that is more natural for me, but I could never put words on why, and you save me by giving me a very good argument for it. Fantastic.
Well, and then the other thing, which of the scordatura, I can understand very well all the students and even the teachers, because teachers have to deal with mediocre students. I mean, we all we have talented students and we have lesser students, and they all have the same love for music, and I mean, to teach amateurs is as wonderful as, I mean, I'm sure you also have great experiences there, but it could give a problem for the scordatura and then to read it, or the difficult finger and so. But I think the question, of course, should be then also for the teacher to the students is, why did Bach choose for scordatura?
Yeah.
And well, I think you gave the answer there too, because the resonance which it gives to the low G actually accumulates that kind of darkness. Wow, you get such a great resonance there,
like a hidden world in a way, no, that is there and sort of swinging along, no?
Yes. I think that could have been a reason for him. And then also maybe there was a cellist who said, oh no, those chords are terrible, why don't you screw it down, that's possible too, because I understood it's easier. It's
absolutely
easier to have scordatura for the chords.
Actually, yes, absolutely, yes.
So there could be 2 reasons. And also the 5th suite is the only suite he personally made a transcription for lute.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know if that had anything to do with it, but
yes, but I actually it's and I think I would like to add one. You helped me to gather my thoughts, because I would like to add one more egg in the back, in the back, which is that well, that Bach definitely wants all these 6 suites to be, they are one big story, and of course one big story constructed of worlds that have to be so contrasted and to take us away. And I think if we have the possibility to suddenly have the instrument sound very differently, to that takes us to another sound world, it's also a great help in constructing something that is full of variety and yeah.
And then up to the 6 suites, of course, to the 6th, the one with them.
Yes.
Yes.
Vera, I yeah, sorry, you wanted to say something. I was going to. No. I want to say, they are. It's so wonderful to have you here for many reasons. So the most obvious one, and we will get there in a second, is just because people who have followed this workshop, they know I've been mentioning Anna Belsma all the time, because Anna is the one who has enabled me to actually find he has enabled me to grasp the Bach suite in my own way. So, which is in a with a genius way, which can probably not even be explained pedagogically. I wish I could say that's what he did, but I don't know what he did. But he and so many, I meet again and again colleagues who tell me the same thing, that who had the same experience. Just by meeting.
Honor also in his teaching and also in his playing and a little bit in his whole personality. It's a kind of magician.
Yeah, yeah,
So
exactly,
he,
exactly.
he founded words, or but it was never, you could never point him down on something. It was always open or free for other ideas. And I think Yo-Yo Ma um, explained it in a very nice way. He said, well, the suites were always a kind of property of Casals, you know. Casals had played the suites and nobody dared to touch it afterwards. And then suddenly there came Mahler on the Baroque cello, and he threw it all open. You know, he did it in such a different way that all the other cellists, they thought, I thought, this is Yo-Yo Ma, who thought, oh, well, but then, of course, and I can do it too. I mean, it was so inspiring to have, actually to free the suites,
Yeah.
and get your own creativity and thoughts again back on it, and then playing on it a Baroque instrument, of course, was also kind of restoration, you know. The well, authentic is, of course, as Anna described it, authentic is actually that you hear a piece you really love, you really like, and then you hear it again, and it's even more beautiful than you thought. So it's not so much as being a scholar, but yeah.
No, he
Be
was not. Yeah.
authentic in yourself and in your ideas, and have the talent to deliver that.
Yes.
Yes.
He was not always tender with scholars. He was. No, I remember him making jokes sometimes
Oh,
about.
oh,
Yeah, yes, yes,
oh,
yes, yes,
all
yes.
right.
But wonderful. So just to make sure, because most of the people know, but maybe some of the viewers don't know. The reason I was mentioning this is that Vera, you shared the life of Anna. You were married to Anna for many years. I don't know exactly the number, but
35.
yeah, wonderful, wonderful. And yes, and you told me just before we this chat, just before this workshop, that you are actually, and now I recognize it because I had the great more. It's an honor, but it's also an experience to where in this place where you are, and you are just in front of Anna's library. So these are all the scores of Anna Belsma over many years. And yeah, do you want to tell us something about?
Well, you know, as yourself, as a young boy, you used to come here too, as you still come here. But not only you, but actually all the cellists who were traveling, they all passed through our kitchen. And after a good glass of Calvados, you remember that Anna always put on the Calvados, and cello talk, Bach came right in front of all the conversations. And then there came always the question, well, can I have a look in your library? Because Anna has a fantastic cello library, really big. And he used to collect in all the secondhand music shops on all his tours around the world, well, very precious and unknown pieces. And he was also known to put on unknown repertoire. He was not the one who played always the same or traveled the whole world with 4 concertos. Well, we know the Servet and the Romberg and the virtuoso Italian composer. Well, there are many examples. Well, they're all here. And as much as I love looking at them, and feeling very close to Anna. I think it will go eventually to the library here in The Hague.
Oh,
A
wonderful.
very, very, very big library, and I hope it will be open to everybody in the world by
Fantastic.
digital,
Yeah, that's a true treasure. You know, the one of the many memories I have with Anna, of course, the the first like an explosion encounter with him in person after having listened to his CDs my whole childhood and all his, because his not at that time it was not CDs, it was LPs, but all his recordings. And then I met him when I was in my 20s for this course in Villarceau in the chateau there for a week, just working on the Bach suites. It was absolutely that's where this whole revelation, this world opened for me. And then not many years later, we met again, and you were there, Vera, as well, in Stavanger in this festival.
Yeah,
I don't know if do you
yeah, I
remember?
do.
Yes, yes, and we played. I remember we played a Boccherini quintet together. Yeah, and that was absolutely wonderful sitting with Anna and playing this Boccherini quintet. And there was this final night, and this will is also one of the things I will carry my whole life with me, where it was a crazy night of music like they like to do at the end of festivals, you know, where it's music non-stop. And in this context, Anna played a Boccherini sonata, and I played the bass for him. And this
Yeah,
was just
hard.
hard, but amazing, really absolutely amazing experience to share that with him, and to see how, you know, there was this grip on the sound. He was,
Yeah.
as you know, I'm not saying this for you, but for our viewers, he was really actually for him it was a clear thing. Metal strings are not
No.
just
But now you're talking about Anders bow arm,
yeah.
because I remember, but there was a movie on Honor, and Sarah Nelsova, which is of course one of the great ladies of cello. She said, "Well, Honor has the most beautiful bow arm I have ever seen,"
Mhm.
and that was true. I mean, I was of course playing in Archibudelli with him all the time, so I watched it, and I really tried to catch the art of his bow, the matter of an attack without a scratch, on every part of the bow. And how he could, in one stroke, just change the color not once but maybe three times even. You just to use the speed of the bow. He was such a master in that. Um, so, apart from being my husband, just to see him and hear him do that was incredible. Um, and and also the way he played the bass, I think to play continuo is maybe a neglected thing on conservatories. I think it's for cellists very important to to play continuo, because you are the bass, but you have to know the meaning of the bass in advance, so that your
Yeah,
partner, I when
very good.
Anna played the bass, I
Mhm,
know how to play the melody.
mhm,
And well, because I exclusively almost played with him, it was for me, well, a kind of normal thing. But now I know it's not normal at all, because I miss him in every cellist I'm playing with.
yeah, yeah, I can imagine.
Because um, in all the notes in a chord have different promises.
Mhm,
Hmm? They promise something else, but so you have to be able to to hear that, and I think people can practice that or learn that from
mhm.
continuous playing, and that it's not just u or e, that they're not interested, or they think I'm not playing the cello, because it's so much focus now more on playing violin on the cello instead of being a real, the bass element is in chamber music so important.
Vera, I am drinking your words, and I will have my students watch this not only tonight but second and a third time, because I'm always coming back to this to them.
Yes.
This is the bass line. If you know how the bass line is going, you know how the music is going. And to our viewers, I refer to you to the episode with Sasha Goetzel. It was also very, very interesting what he was saying about this, about the leading that in most of the music we play, basically the the bass, I translate now in my own words, but the bass has to lead so that the sopran or the other voices can fly and they can
Yeah.
be free, you know.
Yeah. But also that they know how they should play.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, that's true.
Fantastic.
No, I'd like to see you in real again.
Yes, Vera,
When
I
is
hope
traveling coming?
very soon. Unfortunately, the last Biennale well, had to be reduced and I couldn't come. But next time I'm in Amsterdam, I'll give you a call.
Good. Okay.
Vera, thank you so much for taking the time. That was
Well,
absolutely wonderful.
it'll be my pleasure, and I'm glad that I could invite all your students online in Honors Library, and
This is
I hope in not well maybe next year it will be available to many people.
fantastic. Thank you for doing this, Vera. That's really amazing. For also for giving this to a public library. That's fantastic. Thank you, Vera. Thank you, everybody, for watching. I'll see you next week. Next week, my guest will be the jazz saxophonist Raphaël Imbert. And he has done a lot with Bach as well. So it will be very interesting. Have a good week. Stay healthy. Bye.